Welcome to Serenity Stories, where timeless tales of the prophets and history guide you into peace, reflection, and restful sleep. Close your eyes, relax, and let the story begin. Part 1. The Devotion of Meryem's Family. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, let the world around you fade into quiet. Tonight, we travel far back in time, to the ancient land of Jerusalem. The stones of the old city are warm beneath the sun, and olive trees line the hills, their leaves shimmering in the gentle breeze. This is a sacred place, a land of prophets and prayer, where every whisper of the wind carries the weight of history. Among the people of this land lived a righteous couple, known for their piety, their devotion, and their longing for a child. For many years they had prayed, their voices soft but persistent, rising up in the stillness of night. "O Lord, grant us a child, and we will dedicate that child to you. This child will serve you and you alone, living a life of devotion in your sacred temple." And one day, their prayers were answered. The wife felt the stirrings of new life within her. She carried this child with joy, her heart filled with gratitude, repeating over and over again, "This child belongs to you. O Lord, we will keep our vow." The months passed, and finally, the moment of birth arrived. But when the newborn was placed in her arms, there was a surprise. It was not a boy, as they had expected, but a girl. The mother held her daughter, love flooding her heart, yet a quiet uncertainty lingered. How would a girl be dedicated to temple service? It had always been boys who were given for such tasks. Yet their vow was sacred, and they would not break it. They named the child Meryem, and they entrusted her fully to Allah, dedicating her to his care. Little did they know, this little girl would grow up to be one of the most honored women in all of human history. Chosen for a miracle unlike any other, Meryem's childhood in the temple. Meryem was taken to the temple, placed under the guardianship of Prophet Zechariah, as, from the very beginning, there was a light about her, a purity that those around her could feel. She was gentle, humble, and deeply devoted to worship. Her little lips would move in remembrance of Allah, even as a child, and her heart was filled with peace. Zachariah cared for her with love, watching as she grew in devotion. But soon, something extraordinary began to happen. Every time he entered her chamber in the temple, he found provisions waiting for her, fruits and foods that no one had delivered. Some were fruits of summer, though it was winter. Others were fruits of winter, though the sun of summer blazed outside. Each time, Zachariah would ask in wonder, "Meryem, where does this come from?" And she would answer softly, with the innocence of faith, "It is from Allah. Indeed, Allah provides for whom he wills, without measure." Imagine the scene. A small chamber lit by the glow of oil lamps, the air thick with the quiet of prayer. In this sacred stillness, a young girl receives provisions directly from her Lord. It was as if heaven itself was preparing her for something great, nurturing her body and soul for the miracle yet to come. Reflections for the listener. Take a moment now, as you listen to Meryem's story, to reflect. Imagine the strength of her parents, fulfilling their vow even when life surprised them. Imagine the faith of young Meryem, growing up in a temple, her every need provided by Allah. There are times in our lives, too, when the path does not look as we expect. But just as Allah guided Meryem's journey, he guides yours as well. Trust in his plan, even when it feels uncertain, for he knows what we cannot see. Breathe deeply. Let this thought settle in your heart, and prepare to walk with Meryem as her story unfolds further. Part 2, the announcement of Isa as the years passed, and Meryem grew into a young woman, graceful, pure, and devoted. Her life was quiet, her heart tethered to worship. She found peace in prayer, comfort in solitude, and strength in her closeness to Allah. Among the people, she was known for her modesty and piety. She spoke little, but when she did, her words carried wisdom beyond her years. One day, seeking stillness, Meryem withdrew from her family and from the busyness of the temple. She longed for a space to be alone, to worship with her heart undistracted. She walked quietly to the east, her steps steady, until she found a place apart. There, she spread a veil between herself and the world, creating a sanctuary of silence. The air was cool, the earth beneath her warm, and she bowed in prayer, her soul resting in the nearness of Allah. But then, something changed. The air shifted. A presence filled the space around her. She looked up, and before her stood a figure. At first glance, he appeared as a man, tall, dignified, with a noble bearing. But Meryem's heart trembled with fear. She had been alone, or so she thought. Her voice rose quickly in defense, trembling but firm. "I seek refuge in the most merciful from you, if you fear Allah." And then, with a calmness that settled the air itself, the figure spoke. "Do not be afraid, Meryem. I am only a messenger from your Lord, sent to bring you the glad tidings of a pure son." Her breath caught. A son? The words echoed in her mind like thunder. Confusion and fear swirled within her heart. "How could this be?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "How can I have a son when no man has ever touched me, and I have not been unchaste?" The messenger's voice was steady, filled with certainty. "It will be so. Your Lord says, it is easy for me. This matter has already been decreed. We will make him a sign for the people and a mercy from us. It is a matter already decided." Meryem's heart pounded. The weight of the words pressed upon her. She was being chosen for something unimaginable. She felt fear, yes, but also awe, a trembling sense of submission to the will of Allah. Slowly, she bowed her head, her heart whispering acceptance. "So be it as my Lord wills." Reflection for the listener. Pause for a moment. Imagine being Meryem in that moment. Alone, innocent, suddenly chosen for a miracle beyond human understanding. Her life would never be the same again. There are times in our own lives when we are given challenges we do not understand, burdens that seem too heavy. And yet, in the very weight of those moments lies the whisper of Allah's decree. "It is easy for me." Take a breath. Let your shoulders soften. Remember that no matter the storm you face, Allah's wisdom is greater than your fear. Like Meryem, place your trust in him, and you will find strength where you thought you had none. Transition to part 3. From that day on, Meryem carried within her the miracle of Isa as. The news had been given, the decree sealed. And soon, the time would come when the world would witness the birth of a child who would speak in the cradle, heal the sick, raise the dead, and be a sign of mercy for all mankind. But before the miracle came the trial, and before the joy came the tears. Part 3, the birth of Isa as. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. Meryem's life had changed forever. Within her, the miracle of Allah grew, hidden from the world but felt in every heartbeat. She withdrew often, spending her days in quiet prayer, seeking strength and guidance. Yet in her heart, she knew what awaited her. She knew that her people would not understand. She knew that whispers and accusations would surround her. And so, with each passing day, she carried not only the child but also the weight of fear and uncertainty. Then the time came. The pains of labor overtook her. The world around her blurred into sharp edges of struggle and solitude. Alone, she stumbled to a distant place, far from her family, far from the temple. She sought shelter beneath the shade of a tall palm tree, its trunk rough against her trembling hands. The air was heavy and hot, the sky above vast and unyielding. She leaned against a tree, her body racked with pain, her soul sinking into despair. In her anguish, she whispered words that came from the depths of her sorrow. "Oh, if only I had died before this and been forgotten and out of sight." But in that darkest moment, mercy descended. A voice called to her from beneath her. "Do not grieve, for your Lord has provided a stream at your feet. And shake the trunk of this palm tree toward you. Fresh, ripe dates will fall. So eat and drink and be comforted." Imagine the scene. A woman alone, weeping in pain, suddenly surrounded by the tenderness of her Lord. A stream of cool water bubbled gently at her feet, shimmering in the sunlight. Above her, ripe dates hung heavy on the palm, and with a simple shake, they fell softly into her lap. From despair came relief. From loneliness came companionship. From sorrow came peace. And then, her miracle was born. Isa, as the child promised by Allah, came into the world. His eyes were bright, his presence radiant, a sign of divine mercy wrapped in the innocence of a newborn. Meryem held him close, her tears now a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and awe. She looked into his tiny face, knowing that this child would change the course of history. Meryem's return. With Isa as in her arms, Meryem returned to her people. Her steps were heavy, her heart braced for what was to come. She knew their eyes would not see the miracle, but only what they thought was disgrace. And as she entered, their voices rose in shock and anger. "Meryem," they cried, "you have brought something terrible. O sister of Arun, your father was not an evil man, nor was your mother unchaste." Their accusations cut like blades, harsh and merciless. But Meryem did not answer. She had been commanded not to speak. Instead, she simply pointed to her child. Confusion rippled through the crowd. "How can we speak to one who is but a baby in the cradle?" they scoffed. And then a miracle silenced them all. The infant Isa lifted his head, and in a voice clear and strong he spoke, "Indeed, I am a servant of Allah. He has given me the scripture and made me a prophet. He has made me blessed wherever I am, and enjoined upon me prayer and charity as long as I live. And he has made me dutiful to my mother, and not arrogant or wicked. And peace is upon me the day I was born, the day I die, and the day I will be raised alive." Imagine the silence that followed. A newborn, speaking words of truth with the authority of a prophet. The crowd that had been ready to condemn Meryem now stood frozen, their accusations crumbling into nothing. The miracle was undeniable. Allah had spoken through this child, defending his mother and declaring his mission to the world. Reflection for the listener. As you hear these words, let them rest softly on your heart. Think of Meryem, alone, afraid, yet surrounded by Allah's mercy at every step. Think of Isa as born in a moment of hardship, yet a sign of hope and blessing for all of humanity. Their story is not only one of miracles, but also of trust. Trust that even in the deepest valleys of despair, Allah's mercy flows like the stream beneath the palm tree. Trust that provision falls as gently as ripe dates when we place our faith in him. Take a deep breath, exhale slowly, and let the story wash over you like calm water. As you prepare to rest, let your soul be at peace with a reminder that Allah never leaves his servants alone. His care surrounds you, just as it surrounded Meryem. His mercy lifts you, just as it lifted her. Part 4. The early life and miracles of Isa. As the years passed and Isa grew, from the beginning, there was something extraordinary about him. His eyes held wisdom beyond his age. His presence carried a calmness that drew people near. And yet, he was humble, always gentle with his mother, always devoted to Allah, always living with simplicity and kindness. But soon, the miracles that had been promised began to unfold. By the permission of Allah, Isa performed wonders that left people in awe. He would take a handful of clay, shape it into the form of a bird, and with a gentle breath, it would come alive and fly into the sky. He healed the blind, those who had never seen the light of day. He cured the leper, those cast out and shunned by society. And by Allah's command, he even brought the dead back to life. Each miracle was a sign, not his own power, but the power of the one who had sent him. And always Isa would remind them, "This is not from me. This is from Allah, your Lord and my Lord. Worship him alone." The message of Isa's mission was not only in his miracles, but in his words. He called his people back to truth, to purity, to faith in Allah. He reminded them of the teachings of the prophets who came before, of Musa of Ibrahim of Dawood He called them to leave behind pride and greed, to treat one another with compassion, to care for the poor, and to return to the worship of Allah alone. But as with all prophets, there were those who resisted. Some hearts softened at his message, but others grew harder. The leaders of his people, especially, felt threatened by him. They saw the crowd that gathered to hear him, the lives transformed by his presence. They feared the loss of their power, their influence, their control. And so, whispers of anger began to stir. Reflections for the listener. Pause here for a moment. Imagine the life of Isa as simple, pure, filled with service, His miracles were dazzling, yes, but his true message was one of humility, mercy, and devotion to Allah. There's a lesson in this for us, too. Sometimes we look for greatness in the extraordinary, but true greatness is found in kindness, in humility, in faith. Take a slow breath. Let this lesson settle in your heart. Part 5, The Trials of Isaiah's. As Isaiah's following grew, so did the opposition against him. The leaders of the time accused him of sorcery, of lies, of rebellion. They spread rumors, trying to turn people against him. But Isaiah remained patient. He continued to heal, to teach, to remind his people of the mercy of Allah. Yet the threats grew louder. There were plots whispered in the shadows. A plan was made to capture him, to put an end to his mission. His enemies sought to kill him, believing they could silence the voice of truth with violence. But Allah's plan is always greater. Just as Isaiah had been born in a miracle, so too his life on earth be protected by a miracle. On the night when his enemies closed in, Allah raised him up. Isaiah was not killed nor crucified, though his enemies thought they had succeeded. Another was made to resemble him, and they were left in confusion. Isaiah was lifted to the heavens, safe in the care of his Lord, where he awaits the time of his return. Reflections for the listener. Take another deep breath. Let your body rest a little more heavily against the bed. Let your mind soften. Think about the trials of Isaiah. He was rejected, accused, threatened, and yet he never wavered. He stood firm in his mission, knowing that Allah's plan would always prevail. Remember this. Whatever trials you face, they are not the end of your story. There is always a greater wisdom, always a greater mercy unfolding, even when you cannot see it. Crescent Moon Part 6, Isaiah's place in the divine story. Isaiah was a prophet, a servant of Allah, a sign for all of humanity. He was not a god, nor the son of God, but messenger, honored, beloved, chosen. His story is woven into the fabric of prophecy, connected to those who came before and to the promise of those who will come after. He is a bridge between the past and the future, a reminder that Allah never leaves his creation without guidance. Even now, Isaiah remains alive, awaiting the day when he will return. And when he does, he will once again call people back to truth, to justice, to the worship of Allah alone. His story is not finished. It continues, a thread of hope stretching into the future. Final reflections for the listener. As you close your eyes tonight, let Isaiah's story rest in your heart. Think of his mother Meryem as her trust in Allah, her endurance in the face of trial. Think of Isaiah as his miracles, his gentleness, his unwavering devotion. Think of the stream of water, the falling dates, the newborn who spoke words of truth. Let these images bring peace to your soul, reminding you that Allah's mercy is always near. You are never alone. Just as he cared for Meryem, just as he protected Isaiah, he cares for you. Rest now in that mercy. Breathe in that peace, and let yourself drift into a calm, gentle sleep. Thank you for listening to Serenity Stories. May these timeless lessons bring peace to your heart and calm to your nights. Don't forget to subscribe for more soothing stories. Until next time, sleep in serenity.